What's going on, people? We are back. Episode number 10, Conscious Approach. We back at it again. Dave De Niro G, JV. We are going to get back into it. But before we start, you wanted to sort of take a moment to talk about a friend of yours that unfortunately left this earth. So I'm going to give you time to do that real quick.
Yeah, I just want to say a quick shout out, rest in peace, Ian Curtis, aka Icy. You know what I mean? Everything is dedicated to him, but positive vibes only. So that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, senseless violence, man. And you never like to see nothing like that. So we ain't gonna get into all of that too heavy, but we will keep it moving as we continue. We couldn't necessarily have a conscious approach platform without talking about this Kaepernick situation. The Colin Kaepernick thing, I'm so exasperated from it because it's become a sideshow. So my instinct is to go all the way back to the beginning to talk about the strategic mistakes that I think Kaepernick made that has led to this whole thing becoming a sideshow. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead is talk about the latest bit of, news that has taken place within the Colin Kaepernick fiasco, the sideshow. So basically, because it has become a sideshow, in my opinion.
I got you.
But basically, he, through various means, I guess they're saying that the Jay-Z Rock Nation partnership with the NFL that everybody hates has something to do with it. But, one way or another, Colin Kaepernick and the NFL arranged to have a workout where a few teams on a Saturday before a Sunday slate of NFL games were supposed to go out to the Atlanta Falcons' actual playing facility to see him work out. But it didn't happen that way because Mr. Crispus Attucks himself, Colin Kaepernick, I guess he thinks he's the modern day Malcolm X, decided that he was going to change the venue of the workout at the last minute. And there was some other news out there about a waiver, some that he didn't take too kindly to it.
Yeah, the waiver basically said that they wanted him to sign his rights at the ability to maybe sue them for collusion if he didn't get a job after the workout. Okay,
I got you. Okay, so that took place. The waiver didn't sit well with him.
No.
So that was a big thing that prompted him to say, okay, bump that. I'm not going to do it on y'all terms. I'm going to do it on mine. He changed the venue to some high school 150 miles away from Atlanta. It had a smaller turnout as would be expected. And he proceeded afterwards to get on his soapbox and make a speech to the media. He didn't take questions, which would have been something that would have benefited him. Instead, he decided to give his little spiel about how the NFL is running, and how he ain't hiding, and let's make it happen and get it done. Y'all know what time it is, blase, spleasy, all of this kind of stuff. And then he stormed off, and that is the last that we have heard of it. So to this moment, Colin Kaepernick remains somebody who is not an NFL quarterback, even though based on resume and merit, it's absurd that he's not, granted. But he didn't do himself any favors, in my opinion. Now, I feel about this in a way that's different than a lot of people, admittedly. I think that given the facts of the situation with Kaepernick, you already sued the NFL for collusion. You guys settled.
No, that was different. I just heard it. It's not collusion. It was
no.
The lawsuit was more like a grievance.
No. I'm not. Okay, well, so he filed a grievance against the NFL.
But he can come back now and sue for collusion. So he can. That's a whole separate thing. That I realized. So but it was like basically a grievance file, and they just basically agreed to pay him so it wouldn't have to go to a whole court system. So it's like, okay, we just, so it's not necessarily collusion.
Right, but the fact remains that you took the NFL to court and y'all settled out of court, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, so you took the NFL to court, you settled out of court, and now you are attempting to still be employed by the very entity that you that you almost went to court with. My thing with this is, I'm specifically talking about the situation with him not being in the NFL. So we can get into all of the other stuff. But specifically as it pertains to you not being in the NFL, you don't do any favors by overtly committing to behaviors that are going to alienate the very people who you're looking for employment.
Gotcha.
It doesn't help you. So in other words, whether you think that you should be free or not to show up to the workout wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt and doing all of this other stuff and getting on your soapbox, we're not independent of the fact that it is well within your right to do that. It is incumbent upon you to be cognizant of the fact that doing such a thing may alienate the people who you are attempting to be employed by.
Gotcha.
And so it might not necessarily be the best strategy.
Gotcha.
So from that standpoint, you then can't do a reverse field and try to make it seem as though the NFL is once again the white devil holding a noose upon your neck and holding you down when you are sort of contributing to your own demise in that regard, as opposed to being more strategic about it and playing nice. And you never know, maybe it would have turned out different, but hey, that's just me.
Well, the thing is, like, with me personally, I think Kaepernick never wanted to play. He doesn't want to play. And I think a lot of people are looking at it like how you look at it, like, okay, Kaepernick needs to, maybe he should have worn a Kunta Kinte shirt.
I think most people are thinking the other way, actually.
Well, a lot of people are thinking like he actually had a chance. I think a lot of people really believe that if he went to that workout, scheduled his plan, signs the waiver, a lot of people are under the impression that was going to give him a fair shot at getting back into the NFL. With me personally, after listening and look, I think it never was that from the beginning. And it's like if you had a club and you own this club for 3 years. You don't let me in this club for 3 years. And then all of a sudden you call me and say, yo, come out Thursday night. I want you to let you in this club, but it's going to be me and all my employees in the VIP section. Why the hell I'm going into a club with the people who didn't want me 3 years ago?
So why is he agreeing to do it in the first place?
I think what it was, and I mean, I guess it's a surprise, but I think if you listen to that message when he spoke, he was just reiterating. He said it. I want transparency. And to me, it was transparent. He was letting that everything that he did led to show that it was never genuine from the beginning. We tried to, let's do the waivers. Let us bring in camera crews. You don't want to do none of the things. So yes, I'm going to change the narrative because I wanted to be, the narrative hasn't changed. I wanted to be, no, we aren't running. It's been 3 years. He hasn't ran. We're still here. What changed Saturday from 3 years ago? So he was letting them know he didn't say nothing wrong, but he knows at the end of the day, he knows that it wasn't going to be happening. But the NFL tried to be slick. Out of nowhere, bro, in week 10, we're giving Kaepernick a workout. Like, bro, out of nowhere. Then you tell them you only got 2 days to make a decision, and then everybody's the only people that I feel bad for are like the true Kaepernick fans. And I'm a Kaepernick fan too. Love sports. But I think I've been moved out of my mind that he would actually play again.
Yeah.
But some fans actually would like to see it happen, and unfortunately it's not. So people were disappointed, like, why not just go Kaepernick? Why not? But no, why would I go somewhere and agree to all the terms of somebody who just clearly has left me unemployed for 3 years, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'm supposed to just trust him and say, okay, let me sign and agree to all your terms, and like, no, it's not going to work. So he did that, and I think in his mind, and for some, he basically showed NFL, put the NFL on blast again, because say if he goes in there and it's just the NFL, like they said, no media, it's just the cameras and all these 25 teams, right? All they're gonna do is write and evaluate what he sees. He has no control. So then they might say, oh, he looks sluggish, and there's no cameras. They won't let the media. So there's no way to defend himself at that point, because he got all these teams that can say what they want, and in that aspect, and then they can justify saying, well, we told you he couldn't play no more. So Kaepernick showing, I can still play, but it's bigger than football. And I want Goodell to stop running, stop playing, because you tried to set me up, and I let you know I'm not going to let you set me up.
Okay. If what you're saying is correct, and I'm not saying that it's incorrect. If what you're saying is true, then there's validity to that strategy, because it will add more fuel to the Colin Kaepernick is being blackballed fire. So from that standpoint, sure. However, given all of these given everything that you just laid out, I am not going to go. If there's no point in doing it because everything is on the NFL's terms, I'm not going to agree to a workout, period. I'm just going to let bygones be bygones.
That is true.
Like that
is true.
The thing about it is, nothing about this makes sense because this whole conversation around Kaepernick, and this is the fundamental issue that I have with it, it has been splintered into these two lanes. And one lane, you have Colin Kaepernick and his right to play in the NFL and be an NFL player, and the context of him as a football player and his employment. And then in the other lane, you have the issue about the cause with which he chose to dedicate his life to this, so that he is no longer, and one has sort of precipitated the other. So what are we talking about here? Because if you're going to continue to insist to use the NFL as a platform for whatever cause it is that you're fighting for, all you're going to do is continue to create these points of discussion and these debates about the merit of the cause and how that pertains to the NFL, because really those two things are independent of one another. But a lot of people are conflating the two, and quite frankly, it's a mess that is, and it's going to be crazy for me to say, is a lot of people aren't going to like me saying this, but nevertheless, I think that it's true. We're conflating those two issues, and it does the NFL as a for-profit business a disservice, because in the first place, Colin Kaepernick was never protesting the NFL. He was never, what he did was never in protest of the sport or the game or the entity or the business that's the NFL. It was for something outside of that.
Sure.
The strategy was poorly employed. I said that before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it. I'm on the record with that.
Well, I thought the same thing. I thought when he made that decision, like, he knew he was in the final year of his contract, he was going to free agency. So, and the way that storm had built up so quickly, it looked like he might not get a job when after San Francisco, released him or whatever. But I think truthfully that he stood by something that he truly, and he wants to play. Like, that's you don't think deep down inside there's he wants to play. So maybe that little bit was maybe the NFL might just do. Maybe we can't get an agreement on a waiver or something and really going to actually give me a little shot. But when I realize it's that little shot that I want to play, that I will, ultimately it's not going to happen. So I need to continue to stand to where I stood and let you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, you think he wouldn't play, but he know they're not going to let him play.
So he did what he did just to be able to get into a camera and make the NFL continue to look like the bad guy?
No.
Where's the utility in that?
No. I think, like I said, Colin Kaepernick was minding his business. Roger Goodell set this whole thing up.
Right. So
you know what I mean? So you can't. I guess you
think? But okay, let me ask you this. Practically speaking, what now? And I'm in the working world, so I'm in this, in my opinion, slavery system that's been set up where you have to commit all of these hours to somebody to be able to earn a dime from someone else who writes a check for you, right? So I'm in this.
Okay.
So never before have I been in a situation where I'm asking to be employed by someone, but I am unwilling to accept the terms of that employment. I don't have that leverage. I'm not the employer. I'm the prospective employee.
Gotcha.
So on what grounds do I have to make that call? That's why he was in a lose-lose situation from the beginning.
So you saying a little bit more, he just want to he's just put on the show, now he wants attention?
I will agree with you that he never anticipated legitimately being given a shot to play. And I think the reason why he agreed to be a participant in this dog and pony show was so that he can get in front of a camera and continue to make himself look like a victim. It's victimhood on his mind. He wants to continue to be someone who fell upon the altar of righteousness in the face of the evil fascist pigs that is the NFL. The problem is no one gives a crap. The problem is no one cares because no one holds the NFL accountable or responsible for social justice reform in America. No one's doing that. Yeah. No one with any sense is going to do that because it's not their job. So the second that you decided to kneel during the national anthem before an NFL game, that was the very second that you lost, because you should have done that at that point. You should have held a press conference and done that independently, where you wanted to address the things that you want to address, and strategically talk about how you are going to go about instituting change using the resources available to you. You can protest in front of a courthouse. You can protest in front of a courthouse. You can protest in front of a prison. You can protest in front of a bank. But the minute that you protested on the grounds of someone who's cutting a check to you to play a game, and that's your profession, people immediately were going to draw comparisons between that cause and the stage with which you're staging that cause on. And that's why everything's gotten lost.
So you telling me you think he miscalculated his steps when he decided to take a knee?
I think that he did it out of passion, and he didn't necessarily know the unintended consequences of what he was doing. I think that if you were to get him in a room by himself and ask him, if you had to do all over again, bro, would you do it any different? If he was being honest, he'd say, yeah, I wouldn't do it the same way. Because look at how it happened. Why is it that I am sitting here telling you I have no beef with the NFL, I have no beef with America, I have no beef with the military, all of those institutions I respect and admire. My issue is with the social inequities that are rife within American society, and the fact that there needs to be genuine, honest dialogue and discourse about how we can go about instituting change that can sort of level the playing field for everybody. No reasonable person who hears that is going to say, he's crazy. I mean, you got some people out there who don't want things to change, who are happy with the status quo. So, of course, they're going to thumb their nose at him and be like, whatever with this guy. He's being crazy. He hates the military. Any reasonable person who hears what he's saying is going to understand where he's coming from, and at the very least acknowledge the validity of what he's saying. But when you did it on that stage, you opened the floodgates for people to say he's anti-American, he's anti-military. Because, and my man Dogon, we did a video about Colin Kaepernick a couple of years ago where he basically said that the NFL is sort of synonymous with a lot of the values of America. Yeah, so when you do that on that stage, people are going to take an affront to that.
So do you think now, if Kaepernick was to really get signed, tomorrow, do you think people would really be in the uproar like that? I think more people would probably, it wouldn't be, he's kneeling. I think people are more past that whole patriotic part.
Yeah.
But I think, this is me, I think it's not even about that no more. If the NFL can sign a person like Greg Hardy, who can slam his girlfriend
it's
on
complete
guns,
hypocrisy, absolutely.
So if they can coil that in the media, do you think they can't coil the whole bash about him not being patriotic? But this is my thing now. This is what I think, and I think it gets deeper. I think it's not about Kaepernick he can't play, but I think it's more about, you can't allow Kaepernick to be in a locker room with 52 other men and have the possibility at influencing their mindsets. And I think that's more, because, we can keep Kaepernick out, but I think it's more so we don't need nobody else adopting that mindset. Because he has because his mindset is not wrong. Now I get it. As far as him getting a job, that might influence, but from what he's really protesting in the mindset, he's not wrong. Because if you had other guys doing what Kaepernick did, if more people were to do that, then things would change. And guess what? We wouldn't even be in the situation where Kaepernick can get involved in a league full of 32 white old men who don't seem to want to conform their mindsets to, 2019.
Okay, but see, I see where you're coming from. I don't necessarily know that that's the case, because you got people who are employed like Eric Reed, who seems at times to be even more militaristic in his views than Kaepernick is, but he still is employed because he just wasn't the social pariah that Colin Kaepernick became. One would argue that he has the ability to create that much of an influence the way maybe not to the degree that Kaepernick could, because Kaepernick has become the symbol of it, but he nevertheless is somebody who believes in all of these tenets. And if he wanted to be that sort of a polarizing presence within an NFL locker room, who's to say that he couldn't do that?
But I get you. He can do it. But one thing, especially in the NFL, when it comes to NFL, bro, that quarterback,
I get what you. Yeah.
He is. You could be Ed Reed, you the safety, unless you like Ed Reed or something, you're going to have a little voice. But let me tell you something. When you're Tom Brady, the whole team is just different. It's just different. So it's like the quarterback is Kaepernick. Not saying they can't get behind, but it's different if it's Kaepernick.
I understand, and I'm not going to totally dismiss that, but I think that it's not. To be honest with you, I haven't met a single business person. Now, are there certain owners who may fundamentally have a problem with the very existence of Colin Kaepernick, and so they would be reluctant to have him as part of their organization? Not going to rule that out. I'm not going to rule that out. But by and large, I don't have enough evidence. I don't have enough information to summarily declare that all of these owners are against Kaepernick because of what he stood for, and are therefore, by extension, against the idea of having him within their ranks, because then he can poison the locker room for the other players. What I think it is these guys are businessmen and they're for profit. And so they're looking at the prospect of a Colin Kaepernick and they're saying, I don't want to take on that risk. Rich people, sure, they get rich because they are willing to take risks, but those risks are always calculated.
Gotcha.
If a risk is deemed too high leverage to justify the action, they're not going to take that risk. And so they are not going to bring Colin Kaepernick in because they may deem the risk of his presence and the backlash that it can have on their particular fan base, thereby their particular business, to be too high to bring him in. I think that's primarily the reason why he's not there.
I got you, but okay, so like back in the day when they owned slavery, it was still business. Now, in what means and behind the moors of it was business. But let me tell you something, half of the slave owners, they weren't no damn concerns. You know why? Because you wasn't getting out of line. And business is going to be go accordingly as long as you did as I said so. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm not... So, like...
As long... Okay, but what did you just say? As long as you do what I said so. What did he... We just talked about how he didn't want to sign the waiver, and he didn't want to do what they said so.
But that's what I'm speaking... That's my point. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it does fuel to that. Look how the NBA's ran. Look how NBA ran. You owners, like LeBron people, they can do what they can say what it's a lot more. NFL is almost good old boy. It's good old boy. Like, nobody's going to say nothing to LeBron because LeBron drives the revenue for the NBA.
Well, the complexities of the two sports and what makes them different contributes to a lot of why those two sports are different in that way. But you just said that an owner who is for profit is not going to be averse to the idea of bringing in an employee so long as you fall in line and do what I say. If there's anything that we've learned from this, is he's not somebody who's going to want to do what you say.
But this is a guy who, at the end of the day, right, when they signed Greg Hardy, it's about winning in the NFL, right? This guy was in the Super Bowl.
Greg Hardy is more complicit of a person than Kaepernick is. Greg Hardy was willing to do what they say.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, you're right.
No, like what I'm like, it's just like I said, it's not about merit, and also listen. And this, I can't continue to stress this enough, and I'm gonna continue to repeat it because it is the crux of this whole thing. This whole narrative behind the cause and how it pertains to the NFL is the reason why it's become so complicated. Because a for-profit, multi-billion-dollar business shouldn't be trying to get into the weeds of the conversation around social justice reform in a country. That is a job for lawmakers, for DC, for the president, for Congress, for your local governors and mayors and elected officials, these community leaders. These are people who are responsible for these types of initiatives. So when we start pointing the finger at the NFL, like, you're the bad guy, you don't want to sign Cap. Well, hold on, you don't want to sign Kaepernick because you're not aligned with his cause. They don't have to be. Like, we're asking too much for these people to be altruistic and be successful businessmen at the same time. It's not going to happen.
I'll say this. Everybody, I'm more disappointed in the fans aspects because football is a great sport. We love football. We watch it. I love football. Watch it every weekend if I can or whatever. You know, we like, and it's black, white, for real. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's different. And I think what's the sad part about it is so many who watch the game and love the game, white, black, Hispanic, for the most part, are not Stevie Wonder, and they can see what's going on with the whole Kaepernick situation, and you know it doesn't bother them. You know what I mean? It isn't a problem that something like this could happen, because if it happened in the real world to you, if you're trying to get a job and something like this happened, you wouldn't like it either. You know what I mean? If you couldn't get income because your job say, hey, you know what, Javis, you want social justice, we're not hiring you. You would, you wouldn't feel secure.
I get you, and I agree.
And I guess what I'm saying is, fans should speak out more, because if the fans spoke out more, I think the NFL would do stuff.
Okay, I agree with that. So we agree with I agree with you on that. That's a good point. But bro, people just want their sports and their football.
I know.
So the game goes on. Like at the end of the day, no one is going to like you. There might be sympathy towards him because of the plight that he is in, but people are going to say, "Hey, man, you're not going to derail my Sundays and my Mondays and my Thursdays for this."
And so why the hell are people getting all riled up about it?
Because you have the people who are. I'm telling you, the reason why people are riled up is because people have conflated his cause with the NFL. And mind you, both sides of the aisle are guilty of this. So the pro-Kaepernick crowd is pointing the finger at the NFL and blaming them for how everything has turned out. So the NFL has sort of become synonymous with racism in America now. You understand what I'm saying? Like, now the NFL is racist, and now the NFL is like these fascist evil pigs who don't care about social justice reform in America because of what Kaepernick did. And then you have the people on the other side of the aisle who are pissed off because this is a guy who's talking about, you know, social justice reform in America and sort of trying to sort of reverse field on the inequities in America while using the stage of the NFL as a way to do it, when people just don't want that. They just don't want they don't want that political element.
And I get you, but
with the sports.
I get you. But then again, you want people who get domestic violence. You want them playing. I'm just saying.
Isn't it a shame?
It's a shame on NFL. Like the NFL, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke because
I think that there is further. I think that there is a deeper analysis that needs to take place as to what triggers people to be more willing to sort of forgive somebody who's a domestic abuser over somebody who is just saying, "Hey, man, let's do something about this race. Let's do something about the race. Let's do something about this racism, and let's do something about the inherent inequities of people based on socioeconomics and skin color in this country."
And I guess what I was saying is the NFL has clearly showed it's about bottom line, and it's about if you can win or not, right? And it clearly shows that they've signed plenty of players given certain kind of issues.
Yeah, but this takes on a life of its own. This is different.
No, I'm just saying that they have done it. So that's what I'm saying is, I get what people saying, like you can say, okay, it's a business and we don't want to excuse this, that we don't want that. But goddamn, you know what I'm saying? You held Ray Rice under covers until the tape came out. This man punched a 80-pound woman and knocked her out in the elevator, clean, cut, cold. And the NFL knew, but they were going to let him play as long as it kept it under wraps.
Again, I think that there's a deeper discussion to be had for why people are more willing to picket the NFL over somebody like Colin Kaepernick, who is just trying to bring attention to a very important issue that needs to be addressed, but are more compliant towards somebody who is going to beat women. I agree with that, but that speaks to the NFL. That speaks to the fan. That speaks to the individual who harbors those sensibilities. So we need to talk about what, you know, these fans out here who love the NFL so much. Why is it that you're willing to forgive that but not forgive the other? It makes no sense whatsoever. But I think when you get political, it muddies the waters. And I think for some people in their mind, they say, you're trying to politicize my NFL, get out of here, go somewhere else. Whereas somebody like Greg Hardy is simple and clear cut. Did he get arrested? Did he go to jail? Did he serve his time? Did he pay his debt to society? Okay, he did. I can wipe my hands of any kind of guilt I may feel and continue to root for him because he plays for my team.
And I think what that ties into, because like me, you know, you got people who out here are sports watchers but avid sports gamblers, and I think a lot of the fans with the climate of how sports gambling is growing, a lot of people, if it's Greg Hardy or goddamn Kaepernick, it doesn't really matter. What's going to give me a chance to probably do what the NFL does and make money? So, like, you kind of you care, but you really don't care because you're just trying to figure out, at the end of the day, how can I make money? What's going to cause me to win? And you're just going to go whatever gives you the chance at that.
I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just think that when things get political, it just becomes more messy. And I think that if he had it to do over again, he would do it differently. If I work for Walmart, okay, if not, I'm just saying, it's just trying to draw an analogy. If I work for Walmart, and like, let's say I work for Walmart and I hate, and I hate Toyota cars, I'm not gonna go to my job. I'm not gonna go to Walmart and picket Toyota. I'm going to go to Toyota and picket Toyota. Yeah. That's how you stage a healthy protest. Yeah. That is how you clear all of this up. Because what's going to happen when I go to Walmart and I picket Toyota is people are going to look at that and they're going to say, but bro, why are you picketing Walmart? So, like, Walmart, are you complicit with what Javis is doing? Like, Walmart, you're Walmart. He works for you. So, Walmart, are you with or against Toyota? What's the relationship between you and Toyota? What are you guys doing? Oh, that's what people are gonna do.
I got you.
So that is when the cause, righteous as it may be, gets lost in noise, and the noise is what has contributed to him not being in the NFL and this rhetoric that the NFL is sort of this evil empire that has.
I will say this. I guess sort of to your point, I can't say that. One thing that I don't think ever really set right with me, Kaepernick has not been as outspoken as I think he should. Well, I want to say should.
He's never publicly spoken about any of these issues.
Yeah, like he hasn't come out and had press conferences like in the midst of these 3 years. You don't hear him.
He hasn't done anything.
And it's like, I know
now he's given money. So he's put his money where his mouth is, but he has not done himself any favors from a public relations standpoint. Up until this workout, before he got on them cameras and didn't take questions, which was a mistake, but before he did that, there was no public statement about anything that's going on and what he's doing. So regionally, people may know about the moves that you're making, and if people want to dig deep enough because it's public record, you can find it. But in terms of you putting your voice towards everything that you're doing and will continue to do, nothing like that has happened. And that's not something that has helped him.
Yeah, we try to put him in that martyr. You want to be the martyr.
Yeah, well, no, we want to make a Marcus Garvey. And the thing about it,
King gonna let you know where I was at.
That's what I'm saying.
At the church on
I'm marching.
Meet me at DC.
Yes, I'm marching.
We saw him in Nike, but Nike put him out there,
and Nike paid him a check.
That was a check.
So that doesn't. You just.
I mean, I guess there can be. I mean, ultimately, I guess like you say, we know the cause and I'm for it, but at the same time, I guess there can be question marks around Kaepernick if you look into it. I'm not saying, I guess we know what the NFL is. Ain't nothing changed. And Kaepernick is just a touchy situation because some people want to see him play again and actually would like to think he has a chance of playing again. He's not going to play again.
Yeah. I mean, it's a touchy situation because people immediately demonize the NFL for him not playing again when no business that is for profit that I've ever heard of is going to accept a high leverage risk.
But I feel like the NFL ain't bring none of that on themselves too for people to think like that. Y'all have done enough things where people can sit here and say, well, the NFL, you are complicit in this too. Because you're far from perfect, NFL.
Right. The NFL is very imperfect, but as we have clearly seen, the ecosystem of the NFL is clearly such that people are more willing to look past certain things than others. And when it comes to these political issues and things like there's very low tolerance for that.
Domestic violence at the end of the day, that doesn't, that's between you and somebody else.
The tolerance is for that. There's no policing. There's no policing social justice initiatives. Like, people can get over situations like Greg Hardy because, again, what he did was wrong, but I think in people's minds, they can sort of say, hey, I can alleviate my guilt and root for Greg Hardy, who plays for my team, because even though what he did was wrong, there's a legal system for this. So he paid his debts to society. He did everything he had to do. So now I can wipe my hands clean.
The NFL can say, "Oh, we let the legal process play out."
You can't do that for something like what Kaepernick's doing. No. Kaepernick's not gonna. There's no legal system for this. He's just being a political figure, and that just people just don't like it. They don't like it. Why is a whole nother conversation? Why is it that y'all are willing to forgive somebody who's a woman beater over somebody who's just trying to say, hey man, I'm not against the flag, national anthem, military. I'm not against none of this, man. This is the only platform I have. I'm a professional athlete, so I'm gonna take this knee, and so that we can address some of these issues in our society. It's not about the NFL, but y'all want to sit there and try and make it seem as though
it's about the Army.
Yeah, and try and make it seem like he's being anti-American.
Everybody talking about the Army, and I see people drive by veterans all day, every day.
Well, look, I'm gonna tell you this: if y'all want to pick it so much, if y'all want to get mad at Kaepernick so much because you want to convince yourself in your mind that he's against the military and the flag, which is ridiculous, then I'm going to go out here and I'm going to talk about these people driving around in these trucks who's still waving rebel flags everywhere. Yeah. You got houses out here in the places we live got rebel flags sticking out the front yard. Yeah. So how do we feel about that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not an NFL player. Am I wrong for that? No. It's crazy. But, that's just the world we live in, man. But, I admire Colin Kaepernick's passion. I think strategically he made many mistakes. And I think that if he had to do all over again, he'd do it differently because all this has done is created a mess. And there was a way to bring attention to what it is that he wants to bring attention to while still continuing to be a viable quarterback in the NFL. But in the moment, hindsight's 20/20. In the moment, you don't know what the unintended consequences are going to be, and so you do what you do, and now these are the consequences that your actions have wrought.
Yeah, I guess he thought you would really get a job. You would think he'd get a job, huh? You just been.
I don't think that he foresaw any of this happening the way it did. Honestly, I don't, and it's just amazing how.
So he was just that guy who just woke up wanting to be about social justice, and somehow.
And somehow he's looking up, he's staring down the barrel of unemployment. It's crazy. But listen, you're right with the people, and I kind of want to close this out. We've been going a long time, but you made a good point about, the people taking up more responsibility to speak up and apply pressure. Yeah. I agree with that, but if bro, like when it comes to
turning your TV off,
you're
not doing that.
Because when it comes to these sports, people are unwilling to make compromises. So, bro, listen, it's like the Washington Red. There's still a professional franchise in the NFL whose mascot is a racial slur. They're called the Washington Redskins. That's a racial slur.
True.
If people really cared about that, they wouldn't go to the game. Like if we really want if we care enough, let me rephrase what I just said. If people cared enough about the Washington Redskins changing the name, then we wouldn't go to the game. Yeah. If it's a Redskins game on TV, turn the TV off. Don't go to the game. Don't buy the jerseys. Don't buy the paraphernalia. Don't support the program. No. But if you watch a Redskins game, it's a sellout crowd, and the team isn't even good.
Not good. We still Redskins fans.
Exactly. So do people really care at the end of the day?
No.
No.
That's my point. I'm saying, like, people don't care about just something to talk about.
Yes.
The people who talk about Kaepernick, they never really cared either.
Yes. So absolutely.
Ultimately, I think nobody cares. And not only was the NFL and Kaepernick a dog and pony show, most people act like they're a dog and pony show. So that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Most people are dog opponents, so we agree on that. So. All right, but yeah, we gonna sign out, man. We went a little long, but this Kaepernick thing, man, it's hot. It's hot. It's hot.
It's gonna die. Yeah. Say about this though. I don't know if he come back. He might. Some tell me though, next year I wouldn't be surprised somehow he come back.
I don't think so. I don't think so because the owner is thinking about what if these people show up at my games picketing because they don't like Kaepernick.
But I think Lamar Jackson, I think he's gonna. That might cost me because what he's doing is gonna cause GMs to want to win.
All right, well, let Lamar Jackson kneel during the national anthem and let's see what happens.
You gotta worry about that.
Yeah, I know.
He's straightforward. He's very professional.
Yeah.
He's not in the way, but hey, Kaepernick did a good thing. It's something that he addressed that is always going to needs to be addressed, unfortunately. And it's just something that we never seen, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy world. You know what I say out here, man? The world effed up. That's what I be telling you. It's crazy.
Shit. Kaepernick can't get a job. Donald Trump can be the president.
That's wild. I still can't. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but we gonna sign out from there. Be sure to check out Conscious Approach on YouTube. That's where all the videos are housed, as well as the website, which is the hub for all content, consciousapproach.com. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins. I'm also on Twitter at Javis Ogden. So, be on the lookout because we're going to continue to crank out new content, man.
Yeah, you can check me out at 305 and Beyond on Instagram. Be on the lookout for Cortez Apparels. That's going to be the PVO brand. But like I said, positive vibes on this side, as always. And once again, shout out to the homie, my brother, IC. Ian Curtis.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah. And on that note, man, y'all, keep it logical. We are out.